Today we're here with Pure Motivation to help unpack all these backpacks for children who can't afford one. They'll be here tomorrow and they will arrive in this building and see all these beautiful backpacks we left here for them.
So last year, correct, over 10,000 children came to the event. And these children are all living in difficult situations. Many of the families live just one paycheck away from disaster. I mean, how many of us, even in our own lives, have gone through situations, whether we were in school or maybe we had a single parent, where we know what it's like to go without. So this is all about the caring approach and how our community comes together to go ahead and serve others.
I think it's really important to help other people to each other so we can grow up together and we can make a better community.
I think this event is very important because it makes us better people, and I think everyone at Food Sale should not be thinking only about being the best professional, but also giving back to the community as, for example, being here.
So there's such a variety of things that I would like children to leave with, but the main thing is that they could be inspired to not just be taken care of at our event, but they could be inspired to one day, maybe when they get older, to understand that they didn't just go to a back-to-school event, but this was an event that was created with the purpose to make sure that they were taken care of and that they, becoming older, could do the same thing and love somebody else.
That's awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we've seen that video now a couple times.
Yes.
And this is Michael Radka with the HopeNow Foundation. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us. And during this time, we're going to have a very crucial conversation with a very wonderful person who is very well known here in Central Florida and nationally. A person that is not just a leader in her industry, but she's an advocate and she's a wonderful person. So we're going to be able to go ahead and speak with this person. I'm keeping it. Is it secret now, or we said who it's going to be?
It's not secret. It's not secret. We can let the cat out of the bag a little bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So because she's a very dear friend of mine. Beautiful person inside and out, kind, loving, sweet. I can't say enough things about her. And once you guys meet her, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Her name is JoJo O'Neill. She's from 94.5, Star 94.5 here in Orlando. And you can listen to her, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every weekday. So let's bring in JoJo. Are you ready to bring in JoJo?
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to JoJo about her story. What makes her tick? What are the things that have occurred in JoJo's life that not only helped her be at the level she is as far as broadcast industry, but in having the heart that she has to go ahead and love others and to serve her community. So with that being said, Rob, can we invite JoJo with us? Is that okay?
Yeah, let's bring her in. Let's bring JoJo in.
Star 94.
Hey.
JoJo, hey, how are you?
What's up, JoJo? How you doing, JoJo? She's an amazing person. I'm so happy to have you here and to introduce you to the world, because everybody that meets you loves you. Why is that, JoJo? Why does everybody just love you?
I know everybody I meet, I love. That's true.
Yes. Definitely.
Well, thank you for joining us, JoJo, and we're just so happy to have you with us. This is all about a conversation, and so we've been getting a lot of folks reaching out to us, sending us questions, especially as they knew that you were going to be with us today. And there's there's some really interesting questions. But one thing, you bring joy to people's hearts, to their lives. You're a part of their lives. And so in many ways, you're a part of the people's families, and especially right now, JoJo, in this time period when not only our community, but nationally and internationally, people are encountering a different way of being. And what we're seeing is that there's a lot of focus on togetherness. I think it's because a lot of things have become polarized, Rob and JoJo, but there's that polarization, but then there's that togetherness, and together we can do so much more. And so one of the questions we have is let's see here. People are wanting to know about where you come from. Where did you grow up? What happened in your life to bring you to the point where you're at now, JoJo?
Oh my goodness. Well, I am a native Central Floridian, which is almost unheard of nowadays. Most people are from somewhere else who are in Central Florida, but I was born right here in DeLand, Florida, Volusia County. And so I am home. This is home for me. I love to travel all over the world, but my home base has always been Florida. And that's where I was born and raised, in DeLand. I remember I had to be maybe about 4 or 5 years old when my mother started to put me on programs within our church. And she would have me go up in front of the whole congregation and read poetry or read some sort of little skit or saying or something. And so she put me out there at that age, and she taught me how to go up there and be fearless and project and speak loudly and clearly, and to just conduct myself in a really ladylike manner, if you will. And so that was my first training to the spotlight, if you will, or being in front of people. And so I credit my mom for starting me on that journey.
Isn't that interesting? So it's those situations like that who knows, when you're in the beginning, you're in the midst of it, and you're up there and you're a little child, and then at the end of the day you come back, and two things you said, JoJo, which I think will be inspiring to folks, is you said that you learned to be fearless. And isn't that so important in relationships and life and everything that we're going through, is to have that resilience, that rigor. And I heard you say that. And then the second thing is, and Rob she has that voice, right? Well, she said when she was a little girl, she found her voice. She
Definitely.
had a voice. And so that resilience, JoJo, and I'm taking notes right now, by the way. That resilience, and then that voice. You encountered a voice, and you had your voice be heard. So
yes, I wanted. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, JoJo. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say it's interesting that you picked up on the word fearless, but I wanted to kind of explain that a little bit, because for me, fearless does not mean that I never had fear. Fear is there. It's just learning how to overcome it, how to deal with it, how to cast it out and keep moving forward. But it is a battle. It is, but it's one that I go into with a very positive attitude, knowing that I'm going to win this, because I feel that I am walking in my anointing and my path that God has put me on. And so fear cannot get in the way. It cannot win. And so as long as I know that I'm doing what God wants me to do, then that's what gives me the motivation to push past that fear.
Oh, JoJo, that's amazing, right, Rob? And
yeah, definitely. Well, I wanted to, because I picked up on the word too, fearlessness, and I wanted to point out something about you that is just amazing to me. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you ride motorcycles. Is that correct?
I do. Yes,
You got to be fearless.
I have a picture on my refrigerator right now of the first day that I learned how to ride. Back in
Oh
the
my
80s.
goodness.
And I don't get to ride very often, or as often as I'd like to. And I've never bought my own bike. I always borrow my friends' bikes and I give them the keys to my car and we kind of trade. But yeah, that is my hobby. One day I will buy my own bike.
That's
Oh
crazy.
my
That's
God.
fearless. That's fearlessness right there for you.
Rob, what a great question. And, Rob, have you ever ridden a bike before yourself?
No, no.
Okay, JoJo.
The closest that I got was like a moped, but I never got.
Oh, no.
That doesn't count.
We got a goal, JoJo.
Yes.
One thing you made me think about, JoJo, is there's a book that we read that says perfect love casts out all fear. And isn't that true? Is it doesn't matter. It's like people will say, Michael or Rob or JoJo, you've gotten to a certain point, or like for me, you're so old. You must be okay now. You don't have issues, or you don't have obstacles, or you don't have things that could be fearful to encounter. But I think what you said, JoJo, is that we always encounter these things. It's just how we approach them and how we engage them to get through that fear, right, to the other side.
Absolutely. It's not that it's not there, but you just have an overcoming spirit and you realize that, I am going to push past this, that it's not going to stand in my way. It's not going to paralyze me in any way. But this comes over time, so don't think that I woke up one day at the age of 4 or 5 and had this revelation. This has been a journey. The journey continues. We're constantly battling against these forces every day, but you enter it with, like I said, that overcoming spirit. And for me, I just have a joy that just wells up inside of me each day. Every day that I wake up and open my eyes and I'm breathing, to me, I am joyful because God has allowed me another day. Another day. I can't take that for granted. And so that's a big part of where my joy comes from, which is different
Wow,
from
that
happiness.
is,
You know that.
what's that? It doesn't just happen, right?
It's
It doesn't
different.
just
It's
happen.
happiness. My joy and happiness are not exactly the same thing.
So Jojo, and if you don't mind, I'd love for you to share the story about like your asthma and how that how did you have to deal with that and how it affected your life.
Wow, that thing turned me upside down and sideways. It was interesting. It was an adult diagnosis. I was very active as a child. I was always running and jumping and playing. I was a little tomboy climbing trees and playing ball and doing all this stuff. And then as I became a teenager, um, I was a baton twirler, a competitive twirler, and a majorette, and I studied dance. So I was very active. Not until 2004 was I diagnosed with a breathing
Wow.
issue, which is
Oh my goodness.
amazing. I was like, what is this and where is this coming from? But because of just ignorance about asthma, I mean, it's one of those words that we're all familiar with. We've all kind of heard of it, but we don't really know a whole lot about it. And so I get this diagnosis and I'm like, okay, so I have no idea what that means other than I'm struggling to breathe. And so it began a downward spiral financially. Initially, it really kind of just took me off my game financially. I'd never had any medical issues or medical history, so I had to go out and find a doctor. I had to find my own specialist. And so that meant they had to start from scratch. They had nothing to base this on. So they had to start from scratch doing every kind of test they could think of and doctor visits and emergency room visits and ambulance rides and hospital stays. And although at the time I was comfortable financially, I wasn't ready for that. That really just sent me into a tailspin. I would get to the point where I'd have to choose, do I purchase this medication? And I've heard people say this before, do I purchase this medication, which is going to help me breathe, which is at the time, I don't know how much they are now, but the inhaler that I needed, the discus, was like 200 and some bucks for the discus.
Wow.
And do I purchase this medication that I need to breathe? And that was just one of the medications. Or do I pay my credit card bills and my other bills? So needless to say, the medication went out. And so, like I said, it threw me really into a tailspin financially and just turned my world upside down. And so I had to regroup and reconfigure my life and try and make it all happen. But at the same time, trying to educate myself on what asthma is all about and how can I breathe better? And the fact that I was used to being so active, um, I did not want to have asthma control my life or limit me from doing anything. I like being physically active, dancing still, and just moving around. I am into fitness. I like to work out. I'm in the gym 5 days a week, and I was like, I'll be doggone if
Yeah.
asthma is going to stop me from doing what I want to do. And so that created me, it created
Yes.
something in me that was searching for answers. What is this asthma all about? And why is this happening? What's happening to my body? And what can I do to not let this thing control me or limit what I can do in my life? I just refuse to be weighed down or bound by asthma. And so that began a search for information about it, education about it, asking questions, meeting doctors, and that eventually led to forming a support group, and which that eventually became a nonprofit organization. And we're still going to this day. We have monthly support groups for the Let's Kick Asthma Foundation. And then we also offer outreach programs for whatever an asthma patient may need. So some of the things that I went through, not knowing what to do with an inhaler or how to do it, or knowing that it has an expiration date on the medication inside of it, all kind of stuff. The things that I had questions about, with at last time I checked, with over 25 million people around the country diagnosed with asthma, it's a common thing pretty much. And so I know if I had questions, I'm sure other people did too. And so that's why I gather and still gathering an asthma community. And we bring in experts every month and we talk about these things, whatever the topic is. What question you have questions, talk about it. You have experiences you want to share, talk about it. Share your triumphs, share your challenges. Talk to people who know what it feels like to struggle to breathe. And that's where we go to our safe place every month, and we educate ourselves. We learn. We help each other in any way we can.
Wow, Rob, that's powerful. Now, Rob, just so everybody knows, when we were working with WFTV Channel 9 and Cox Media and Cox Radio, and we found out that we had the opportunity to have a conversation with you, JoJo, we were all super excited. And then I shared it with my good friend Rob here.
Yes.
And what'd you say, Rob?
I was like, Joe, that's my family. I love JoJo. I definitely want to be part of it. Yes.
How I should not have been surprised that two wonderful people would
Yes.
know each other, right? There's a way that God works and all of that. And JoJo, can you share what's the website for your organization? What's the website?
It is letskickasthma.org. Letskickasthma.org.
Asthma.org. And by the way, I love that name. That's a powerful name.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Awesome. It captures.
So everybody, right after this, go check out JoJo's website at letskickasthma.org. We've got it right there on the screen, scrolling across the bottom. You see that, JoJo? So we've got that there. And one thing you were talking about earlier, JoJo, was the difference between getting medication and, can I pay my bills and do everything else? And one thing we recognize here in our Central Florida community is that we have some amazing children that just live in tough situations that they didn't ask to be born into. And their parents are working hard. And with the COVID-19 crisis right now, JoJo, the obstacles and the challenges, not just that these parents or grandparents or guardians are going through, but the children are going through, that have always had tough situations, are now magnified. And so now they're in an even more difficult situation of, my goodness, can I get this food? I've lost my second job. Now I need to get my child prepared for some kind of school. Is it going to be brick and mortar? Or how can I have my child learn from at home when I've got two jobs? But they need to get school supplies for their children. And one thing that we've always done, this is our 15th year, and yes, we had to cancel the back to school bash, but just like you said, JoJo, we didn't give up. So now we have the Backpackathon virtual school supply drive, and people are donating. It's amazing to see how everybody's coming together. But I heard you say that, JoJo, is that you could really understand what these families and these children are currently going through because you went through it in dealing with asthma.
Yes.
Absolutely. I did. I did it, and it can be very scary, trying to figure it all out, and especially going through it. I'm thinking about the children, and that's the most heartbreaking part of it because they are in a situation where they really can't do anything about that on their own. They rely on their parents and their guardians or grandparents or whoever their adult is in their life to take care of these things for them. And it's a very difficult time. That puts a lot of pressure on the adults because they know the kids are watching. The kids are
So
watching.
we can come together, JoJo, and that's what we're doing now. And you have a voice that everybody knows, and you're so well respected locally and nationally. And so for you to become, Rob, what we call one of our ambassadors of hope is
Yes.
an honor for us. And the fact that you're putting a voice to the plight and the challenges of children living here in Central Florida, and you, JoJo, you're encouraging people to support the effort is greatly appreciated. And I'm looking, back here. I'm looking right back here. There's a painting behind me, and this painting it's really large. It's a Rembrandt. And it's here in my office at home. I haven't gone to my office yet today. But this is a Rembrandt, and it's of Jesus on the boat when they were hitting the storm and everything. And it's hard for you to see from the screen here, but everybody's freaking out but one person. And
Yeah.
and so, and so I think, Rob, I see JoJo. I see JoJo in here now. There she is.
That's JoJo. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Freaking out.
I'm gonna tell you,
Oh my
JoJo,
goodness.
she is a strong lady, and I mean, she encourages people. Yeah, and she mentioned working out. I mean, so I'm looking at her on her Facebook. Follow her Facebook, JoJo O'Neill, and she's posting pictures of her working out, and she's sweating, and she's going hard. And I'm sitting here eating a donut, looking at that like, man, I need to get up off of this couch and do something. So
Hey,
she
JoJo, we got to do an intervention here. The fact that Rob would even think about eating a donut is very concerning to me.
that's concerning. Yes,
Rob, you can't do that.
I can't do that. I know.
So JoJo, can you share with us your faith, please? Because there are many ways we can overcome obstacles and challenges and just live daily life. Right now, what I'd like to do is can you share? You're talking to a mom, you're talking to a dad, maybe you're talking to a grandparent, or maybe you're talking to a child right now, JoJo, that listens to you, or a parent, and they're listening to you right now, or they're watching you. What can you share with them that can inspire them and encourage them? Because maybe they're going through a tough situation right now, JoJo. Can you share from your heart kind of your story and what motivates you? And what Rob and I now call this is, we call this our virtual toolkit. And
Yes.
so whenever that person goes through a hard time, they can open up their virtual toolkit and pull out some of the tools that you're helping them with. So JoJo, can you share with us something from your heart, please?
Oh, wow. There's so much. Let me see if I can narrow this down. Just basically starting with the name of that organization, HopeNow. There's always hope. No matter what's going on, there's always hope. And there are times when God will answer. You just have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of what that answer is. There's always hope. And there's always somebody out there who is on assignment, who's going to be there for you. I was interacting with a lady recently. She happened to go to my inbox on Instagram, and she just asked for some help for her and her sons. And she says, I don't even know if you're going to see this. I don't even know if you're going to answer this. And normally I hadn't been keeping up with my inbox on Instagram, but that day I came across it and saw her message and began to reach out to other people to help me to help her. And so that's hope. That's what it's all about. People are on assignment every
Yes.
day to help one another. We're in this together. We're in this world together. And I like to connect with people. I don't see any meetings by chance. I call them divine connections. And so I
Yes.
just would encourage everyone to be aware of those connections. Be aware of the people that God places in your life for whatever reason. There's always somebody out there who is on assignment just for you.
Wow.
And so just be hopeful. Stay hopeful. Stay, I call it being prayerfully positive. You know, when things are weighing on me and I don't know how this is going to happen or what's going to happen with that, whether it's a family issue or whatever, I send text messages to my family every morning with words of scripture and encouragement. And it's
Wow.
always about, let's stay prayerfully positive. You know, let's stay prayerfully positive.
Wow.
Just like in the
That
book, he ain't worry either, you know?
that's
Yes.
powerful. I was just gonna say, Rob, JoJo, that's powerful.
Yes.
And you know, I'm sitting in the same room in my house that many years ago I was praying about it and came up with the name HopeNow. And it was exactly for the reasons that you said, JoJo. And you couldn't see it because I was off screen, but it really impacted me in a great way to see you sharing, because as I'm sitting in almost the same spot, and JoJo, you know this, I lost both my younger brothers, and one thing was that they didn't have hope. They didn't have hope. And to be here in the same spot this many years later, and then to have JoJo talking about hope and how the importance of hope now, and it can be a
Yes.
reality there. This is one of those serendipitous moments, JoJo. And I'm just extremely grateful, because what I hear in your heart is kind of like what, you know, I'm a disciple, a student of Jesus, and he's my Lord. And I hear him in you. And isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? And you also said that, or in your life, you show that you take your faith, JoJo, but you put it into action.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and so I hear a challenge to everybody that's watching this as well from JoJo, that you might have that love, you might have that faith, or that hope. Be encouraged, as JoJo mentioned. Be encouraged and share that faith that you have, share that hope, share that love that you have, and put that in action. And even being patient or kind to somebody. You know, many of you already give to a charitable organization, and if you do, we thank you for that. Keep on doing that. The next time you do give, though, if you could consider giving to Kick Asthma.
Let's kick asthma.
Give to Kick Asthma.
You.
Give to
Yeah.
kickasthma.org. Then I would be extremely grateful. A great organization, a wonderful family member in JoJo, and JoJo also. I wanted to point to this gentleman right here. That the reason why we became such good friends, and I'm not surprised that you're friends, is that last year he secured a location for us for our 14th annual Back to School Bash at no cost, at zero cost. And normally we would have to
Amazing.
buy and rent the big Amway Center or Camping World Stadium,
Yes.
you know, which were cool. But not only did he get it at no cost, and he and his sister Jess, but not only that, but it was the best location we had ever had. And so once we do get through the COVID crisis,
Yes.
we're definitely going to be going back. But Rob, I just want to say thank you for your commitment, even supporting these conversations right now. Rob is and Jess are donating their time and their talent and their treasure for this effort, all so that we can share our stories with each other. And JoJo, we're going to give you the last words here. We appreciate you sharing your heart, your faith, and your love. And what else do you have to say to everybody?
Well, you asked me to share about my faith, and I forgot to mention that um, 3 years ago, yeah, I think it was 3 years ago, I was commissioned as a Stephen minister. And we had that
Oh, wow.
training through my church, which is the City Sanctuary Church in DeLand. And so, as a Stephen minister, we're trained in Christian caregiving. And that's something
Wow.
that a lot of people don't know, but I felt that over the years, a lot of people have felt very comfortable sharing their innermost challenges and thoughts with me, even if I didn't know them or if I did know them. They're very comfortable choosing and a purpose for that. I had no idea that there was such a thing called Stephen Ministry. It's a nationwide
Wow.
ministry, but we have a branch of it at our church in Duluth. And so when that came along, I said, I've got to be trained in this because this is something I've been doing as a layperson for all these years. People will tell me things and, and I unsolicited. And so
Yes.
I became commissioned as a Stephen minister. And we do provide Christian caregiving, one-on-one
Wow.
caregiving to help people through life challenges, whatever it is that they're facing, whether it's loss of a loved one, whether it's an illness of their own, whatever challenges they're going through, we walk with them through it as Stephen ministers. We do an awful lot of reflective listening too, because sometimes it's just having somebody who's there just for you. That's the only
Yeah.
reason we are there, because your family loves you and your friends
Wow.
love you, but sometimes they're like, look, we've heard this already. We got other stuff to do. But that's
Right.
what we do as teachers. We're there for that person, go with them through those challenges. And so I carry that with
Powerful.
me everywhere I go, whether I'm on the radio or not. you
Yeah.
know.
She's an
Wow.
angel.
So
That is
I'm just
that's
I'm
powerful.
to have. Aw, thank you. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for the love that you've shown me. And to everybody out there, here's what I've been saying to my coworkers and my family and my friends lately, especially through this whole coronavirus thing. Stay safe, stay encouraged, stay prayerfully positive. That's it. Peace and blessings. I'll see you
Wow.
on the radio.
Beautiful.
That is it.
Beautiful.
Wow. Thank you so much, JoJo. Rob, I have nothing else to say. Just want to say lastly, and then Rob, I'll look over to you. JoJo, thank you for being what we call one of our ambassadors of hope. You're putting a voice and to collectively engaging our community for everybody to come together. Again, kickasthma.org. Please visit that site, support it. Even $5, $50 can make a difference. And then also HopeNow. JoJo's getting the word out there all the time to the community, saying, let's get together. Let's make some donations of school supplies, and you can go to backpackathon.com or HNow. H stands for hope. HNow.org, and we actually have like a store where people can go on and select the backpacks. And one thing Rob and I were talking about earlier, and I don't know if we mentioned it, but I think we have some like princess backpack or something. Everybody's buying that one to make a donation with that one. There's going to be a lot of little kids with the princess backpack out there, and they are high quality backpacks. In fact,
Definitely.
they would, right, Rob? They retail for $40.
Yeah. Yeah, they. I know the ones that we had last year. They were straight from Disney. They were like the Disney princesses on
Nice.
there, and so they were very popular. And the other characters that were popular, very well put together. They're not just a regular backpack, just sturdy. It was amazing. It was amazing to see those
Nice.
kids.
And JoJo, I know you're not at the
I want to
studio all the time now, but I dropped off a backpack for you so you could one for you so you could look at it.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you for the work you're doing, giving people hope, because sometimes that's all it takes is to just give them a glimmer of hope to keep them going through the day. And so thank you for all you're doing with the Hope Now Foundation. And I'm happy and excited to be a part and to be an ambassador to help with the efforts.
Thank you, JoJo. Thank you, Rob. Everybody have a great day.